Hey again, folks. It's week 11. Can't believe it. Time flies when you're having fun with a man like Jason Blakeney. I'm DC Reeves, sports writer at the News Journal. The aforementioned Jason Blakeney, assistant sports editor. And let's wrap up the small little slate here. Obviously, playoffs on the mind for everybody, and all the playoff matchups are set throughout the state of Florida in every classification. But we got some rivalry games. We just got some teams looking for some last-minute tune-ups there before the playoffs start.
Yeah, especially this PHS Escambia game, big rivalry. PHS also getting the chance to go after some pretty good athletes. Escambia's got some guys on their team that can make some plays. They got some athletic quarterbacks, athletic running backs, got some big receivers, and they're going to need to see a big receiver because they're going to be taking on some teams that throw the ball in the playoffs.
Yeah, and so it's obviously a rivalry game. Escambia's not in the playoffs. This is their playoff game. They're obviously going to be hyped up to play. This is the 50th anniversary of the game for the ye old wash boiler, which is the PHS Escambia rivalry. Quite a wash boiler it is, and PHS has had that thing for quite a while now, and PHS has got to obviously beware of overlooking this team, and since this game doesn't matter for the playoffs, not overlooking a team that's really going to be fired up to play them.
Right, and the thing about Escambia is they're coming off, a slide. They started off the year so well, they've been sliding for the rest of the season, and they're going to want to, to earn some wins. They're going to need that momentum going into next year. Scott Anderson's had an entire year with his team now. They know it. They know what he expects of them, and they believe they can go out and win this game. And maybe it'll be a close one.
Yeah, and then gives Anderson credit. We've talked about it on videos before. Nobody would have seen them winning 5 games this year to go 5-5. A fantastic, really a surprise performance by the Gators this year. I mean, they could have rolled over and not won a game, not been inspired, but to start 4-0, to finish 5-5, even if they lose to PHS with a 5-5 record there, that would be a pretty impressive run. So anyway, that game is actually. Don't get confused. Again, we confuse you sometimes. The game is at Escambia, at Emmett Smith Field. It's a 7:30 kickoff, PHS at Escambia. So that's really the marquee game. That's our game of the week. But also another rivalry. We've got Gulf Breeze, Navarre, and it's a similar situation. It's a rivalry game, but Navarre's in the playoffs. Gulf Breeze is out.
Right, and it's kind of one of those things where maybe this one loses a little luster this year because normally this is both teams' playoff game. Neither team's been in the postseason in a while, and this has been it for everybody. Now Navarre, you have to wonder if maybe they're going to rest some guys, maybe they're trying to get some guys healthy. What's going to happen? And Gulf Breeze is going to be motivated. So if you're Navarre, you watch out. You don't want to get upset now last week before making your first playoff run in a while. You need that confidence to be as high as possible.
And not only do you not want to get upset, you don't want to be rusty either. That's the other big thing. And I talked with Coach Chad Lashley at Navarre. He said, we're playing this like round 1 of the playoffs. This is a playoff game for us. Obviously, the kids are motivated. The kids are focused because of the rivalry. He said this week of practice might have been the best week of practice he's had all year. And that's saying something for a team that could go 9-1 with a victory here. So, again, that's at Bennett Russell Stadium at Navarre, 7:30 kickoff. And the thing with Gulf Breeze now that we got to watch out is they're 3-6, and that's deceiving because they can score. It's really the difference between winning and losing for Gulf Breeze has been defense.
Yeah, and some games their defense has shown up and they've won those games. Some games their defense hasn't, and they've gotten blown out in those games. You get outscored by West Florida High. They go out and hang 55 on them. They haven't had that explosive an offense this year. They need the defense to show up. Blake Meredith needs to lead that defense out on that field, and they need to be ready to play.
Yeah, and so we have 5 games this week involving 9 area teams, but it's interesting because 4 of those games are a playoff team versus a non-playoff team. There's no coincidence, no 2 playoff teams going against each other that might want to rest guys. It's all playoff teams versus non-playoff teams, and so the third one of that is you've got Catholic, number 3 in Class 2B, won the District 1 2B title. They will be going to Milton, who's lost 7 straight. Obviously, Milton has something to play for here, too.
Yeah, not only this year, but last year. You look back at that game last year, they had a huge lead on Catholic, 21 points. Let it all slip away. Catholic ends up winning that game, and it continues to slide, to end their year last year. Kind of a little bit of a repeat performance this year and win the first 2 games, and then they've been sliding down. So they want to go out and get a win. Bobby Johns is wanting to kind of shut up some of those critics because there's a bunch of them out there in Milton, and you want to take that win and show them, hey, we beat one of the best teams in the area, and we're gonna be here to compete next year.
Yeah, absolutely, and Catholic too, same situation. They're going to play their players. They're coming off a 14-7 win at Chipley, and this is a Chipley team that only beat Holmes County 14-7. So, you don't want to go into the playoffs with that type of rust, with that being sort of the last memory of your starters on the field. Right. So I expect Cyber will take the exact same approach as Lashley. He's going to play his starters for as long as he feels necessary, to make sure that they're sharp and everything for when Fort White comes to town in the first round of the playoffs next week. So anyway, that's the third game. Our fourth game, pitting a playoff team versus a non-playoff team, is Northview, and that's Northview hosting West Florida. And these games are always interesting because we're talking about a 1A team who's very, very good in Northview. They've only lost one game all season long. You've got a West Florida team that's only won one game all season long, but we're a Class 3A school, so you've got a lot of more kids, you've got a lot more participation. You don't have as many kids going both ways. So it's always intriguing to see these matchups because you don't really know how they're going to pan out.
Right, and again, it's one of those things that you're taking on a bigger school. Do you risk getting your kids hurt? There's not a lot of depth at Northview. There's not. You don't have a 3 depth chart. You got 2 deep, maybe 1 deep in some spots. And but West Florida, again, when we reclassified a couple years ago, West Florida petitioned to be taken up a class, so they're not quite as big as some of the other 3A schools. They just wanted to play with some area schools, but they've got athletes. You got guys that'll pound you in that backfield. Anton Carter, Jalen Jones, both of them not afraid to run over anybody, and you can see some injuries out there.
Yeah, and you're right. It's an intriguing point with Northview because of the depth issue. However, I think what sort of counterbalances that is that when a school like Northview, who plays all these sort of backwoods Bakers and Freeports and Vernons and all these teams, to get to play a city team, to get to play a Pensacola team, obviously I feel like just like it's almost like a motivation of a rivalry, even though that's not a rivalry game. It's like, here comes a team from the city. Can we match up with a Class 3A team from the city of Pensacola? I think all the kids and all the coaches would want to be able to see that. So I would be surprised if they sat a lot of guys. It would make sense. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be questioning that coaching decision, but I would be surprised to see Northview sit a lot of guys there. So that's the fourth game. Fifth game is Jay's going to travel to Weewa. Jay looking for that first win. They're 0-9. Weewa is 1-8. They won the first game of the year, lost 8 straight. So somebody's going to have to end the season with a little bit of momentum there.
And Elijah Bell coaching his last game for Jay. So
that's right.
I
think that's
21 going on there.
That's right. 21 years. This will be his last season as athletic director and as football coach at Jay. So that's our 5. Nice little short slate, nice and concise for everybody. Let's go up the ladder with our picks. We'll go with Weewa and Jay.
I'm going to go Jay with the emotional, heart-wrenching pick.
Oh, there you go. Okay. I like Weewa. I like they got a couple decent skill players. They've got a good running back, a good receiver, and I just haven't. I mean, I think Jay's given up 39 points a game. I haven't seen anybody.
How are you gonna pick against the guy in his last game?
Hey, well, then it'd be that much more enjoyable for him when he proves me wrong and he gets the win.
All right.
So anyway, I like Weewa. You like Jay there. Let's go with Northview, West Florida.
I like. That's close. That's a tough one. It's a tough one. I'm gonna go with West Florida. They have the depth, and you got 2 just running backs that, like I said, Anton Carter and Jalen Jones, that really can dominate a football game, and I kind of expect them to be able to pull away from Northview just a little bit.
Okay, well, I'm going with Northview. I saw them last week, and call it depth, call it whatever you want, but when they've got their 11 offensive players or 11 defensive players out there, they look about as good as your average Joe 3A or 4A team to me. So they've got some great running backs, Roderick Woods, Dustin Uhas, Brandon Sheets at quarterback's fantastic. I like Northview here, maybe by 10, 14 points at home. So anyway, I'm going to go with Northview. That's 2 different. Wow. We don't have 2 different very often. But all right, third one, Catholic at Milton.
Give me Catholic. Milton struggled all year. This team is not what Bobby Johns needs to run his system, and I think they'll continue to struggle.
Yeah, I think Catholic struggling last week really hurts Milton's chances. If Catholic would have gone out and beat Chipley 56-0, maybe there's some other decisions made with personnel. Catholic has to come out here and try to prove something, try to get in sync for the playoffs, and that's bad news for Milton. I like Catholic there. All right, last one. Or no, we got 2 more. Gulf Breeze at Navarre.
I like Navarre. The Raiders have just been strong this year. One of the best teams in the area. I'm just going to stick with them. Yeah,
they're playing as good a football as anybody the last 4 or 5 weeks. This is for 6 in a row. This would be for a undefeated season at home for the first time in school history. They can go 5-0 at home, and also get to 9 wins. Thanks to the Catholic forfeit, they get a win there, and this would actually make them 9-1, which would be the most wins in school history. So a lot of history on the line. You add the rivalry in, I think they'll be pumped up, ready to go. I like Navarre to beat the Gulf Breeze soundly there. Last one, game of the week, PHS at Escambia. Who's getting the old boiler this year?
PHS is going to stick with it. I'll just wrap it up there.
You go
And
PHS?
cut.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely going PHS here. They look too good, too strong, too much skill, both sides of the ball, and I think PHS holds on to that rusty old boiler. So that's it for us. Make sure you check out, as we hope you always do, on Saturday morning, our wrap-up videos, and we'll give you our Check My Stats Players of the Week. And next thing you know, it'll be playoff time.
Hey, 1 week away.
That's right. So thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next week.